we add another person in to like spice up the flavor, but not all of them is as spicy as Tommy Oliver. If you're wondering why we put him on this pedestal, he's earned it. He's
so cool.
He is the person that like rearranged that. He's the reason why we have 6 seasons of Marty Morphin and not 3.
Yeah.
He's so cool.
Like, they like him so much, they went to a different season of Super Sentai to find a way to bring him back.
Mm-hmm.
The White Ranger powers is from a completely different show that has nothing to do with the original footage they used for Mighty Morphin. It's completely different. It's a completely different show. He literally doesn't even go here.
Just a reminder, this is a spoiler-heavy podcast. Different series that require a spoiler warning will be in the description.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Gaming Theater Podcast. Today's episode is going to be all about your 5 to 7 man band, and we'll explain this particular type of art type that's out there, or story trope that's there, or in a bit. But to help us out, I've got a few guests over on my side that is going to help me out with this. Now, before I get started, once again, my name is Leo. I am the Geek Scorpio, and I'll be your host this evening. And over to my right is going to be...
Hi, everyone. I am Ben. I go by El Penguin. I'm a struggling muscle artist, inspiring others through being a buff nerd.
All right.
Hi,
and with
Ben.
that... Hi, Ben. And
Ben.
Hi.
Hi, Mr. Ben.
Over to their right is going to be...
My name is Liz, also known as Zombiehand. I do a lot of work for GTP. I also am a cosplayer, artist, and writer. And I'm just here. I just do stuff here.
And Liz does stuff here.
Yeah.
Go Zombiehead. And over to their right is going to be...
Hi, my name is DandDaine. I am an award-winning DM, a Twitch streamer, TikTok guy, big dumb nerd, charity doofus. All those things.
Love charity doofus.
You can find me on Twitch and TikTok Tuesdays, Thursdays, Mountain Standard Time, 7:30 p.m.
Charity Doofus. It's the club name.
Kind of my
favorite
brand.
Things.
I like those TikToks. Those are some nice TikToks.
You know what? The feeling is mutual, my friend.
All right. With that being said, let's take a quick trip over to the Magical Merch Booth. Hi everyone, this is Leo the Geek Scorpio, letting everyone know of a great tabletop and board game convention called Gem State Gaming Convention, located at 5610 North Glenwood Street, Garden City, Idaho, 83714. Join us for a fun time with a full schedule of events, featuring a large library of board games and fun for all types of gamers. The event will be held from Friday, July 18th through Sunday, July 20th. Links to the convention website for tickets will be in the description. See you there. And now, back to the show. So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about what we call the 5 to 7 man band. Now, I call it that mostly because usually the most repertoires is you have your 5-man band. And that's an archetype about 5 different people who fit particular roles in a team. Now, the reason why I said it's 5 to 7, because lately, especially in the more modernity era, you start seeing, and if you're looking around for it, you start seeing 7 people as the main cast, or the cast growing to that, or the amount of characters start growing to 7 people. That kind of starts when we get into science fiction, actually. Star Trek is one of the first big examples of it, because there's 7 main characters from now on. But we'll explain what that goes through. So what this is that it's basically an archetype of your team is broken down into these spots, and they fulfill a little kind of archetype for that team space. Probably the biggest example for those ones is anything with the Super Sentai, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Actually, that's a pretty staple through most Super Sentais, now that I think about it.
They have one leader until they don't, and then they have a different leader, and that's fine.
No, I mean, that's how that goes down. So we'll break down on sort of how that starts and how this works out. So let's start with the number one guy, which is the leader. The leader is basically your centralized character. That's the one who is saying it's a main character is kind of wrong in that case, but more of this is where our focal point character is.
Yeah.
If you're watching only any of the Power Ranger series, that's always the Red Ranger.
Well,
Is there one that's not the Red Ranger?
I mean, Mighty Morphin season 2 and 3, I would say it's green and then white.
Yeah.
We'll get to the Green Ranger in a second.
But like that counts.
It counts. It
There are
counts.
some
And there
exceptions to this.
there are also some exceptions where like it is usually replaced by another Red Ranger, but where the Red Ranger, like in Power Ranger Samurai, as well as Shin Kenjer, the Red Ranger is the leader, but they're not the true leader. It's a different Red Ranger who shows up later. They're in the Power Ranger series. Actually, I think in the regular canon as well, the Super Sentai canon, they're brother and sister, and they belong to the same house. And so the sister, being the eldest, is technically the leader, but she's not there, and you don't learn about her until way later. So you're like, yeah, this is our Red Ranger. And then she shows up, and she's like, what up, little bro? Like, I'm here to lead. And you're like, wait, hold on, what's happening? And then she's like, all right, I led. I'm out. And then he takes over again.
Oh man. But like, if you want a bigger example for that, starships and starship captains is almost always that. Mal from Firefly, Captain Kirk. You have Captain Kirk or any of the captains from Star Trek. They're always the main guy, the leader. This is sort of where the story's focal point is going to be. The leader doesn't always have to be the strongest character on that. Just they're on that leader archetype. Farscape has John Crichton as their lead, who fits the leader role, but nobody really listens to him. And so, like, that doesn't mean that that. It's not until later when they're like, "Hey, maybe we should listen to Crichton."
You don't know what that's like at all, do you, Geek Scorpio? You have no idea.
I have never experienced this.
Not even once.
Not a once. See almost every season finale.
Yeah, for those behind the scenes, oftentimes our dear sweet Geek Scorpio here is trying to do something, and we're usually off messing it up in the background, and he's picking up the pieces and sighing and shaking his head. We appreciate you, buddy.
I appreciate being appreciated. But I appreciate you guys. That's why this is a team effort.
Yeah, you do the hard work, and we just mess it up. And I agree.
And we
Now-
no, we don't mess it up. We keep it interesting.
So like, this gets kind of tricky when it comes to video games as far as the 5-man band. Some fill in that steps and some don't. The thing is, the leader is just more of the character that you're playing as, which a lot of times those characters end up being your silent protagonists, so they don't fit that well, but they usually have something like Chrono Trigger is a silent protagonist, but like Cloud's the leader for FF7.
He is not a silent protagonist.
He is not a silent.
I mean, in original 7, he doesn't say much.
Yeah.
He doesn't say much, but he still talks. He's a sassy little shit.
Weirdly, I do find that kind of endearing. Just to bring it
I
back
love
to my
it.
favorite thing, Final Fantasy VII, that I talk about every episode. But I love the fact that like the dialogue written in that is not him talking; it's people responding to what he said, even though he didn't say anything, as far as we can tell. Like he is speaking, but we don't have dialogue for him. It's just like
It's like in
he
Chrono
shrugs.
Trigger.
Yeah,
Chrono Trigger, it's canon. He doesn't say much at
Yeah,
all.
no, he doesn't say much, but they'll be like, what's your name? Oh, your name's Chrono. So he's saying stuff. It's just that we don't get to hear it.
yeah.
Mhm.
And that's what I think is really neat about Chrono Trigger. But I love I mean, Final Fantasy VII, we do see Cloud talks. Not a lot, but dude speaks.
A lot of dots.
A lot of dots. Persona is a different.
Oh,
can
those
of
are
worms
some
for that one.
silent pro tags.
Those are silent protags.
I don't
but they-
know. Like,
I mean, because you have the option to say things, but like there is a lot where it's like, let's do this, and like that's it.
yeah. Like, but you go to school, you answer questions.
I take a quiz.
I go eat burgers. I play basketball with my friends.
Yeah, I mean, but if we're gonna say that Cloud is a semi-silent protagonist,
I would agree.
the protagonists of Persona are also semi-silent.
I think that's fair.
That's fair, but especially after 3, it's
Yeah,
very much that
including
archetype.
3.
No. So not the part about it being silent, about them being the leader in that leader position.
Yeah.
You, in Persona 3, 4, and 5, you are sort of proposed as the leader just because of you're the first one who typically is the one who gets awakened to the Persona world. 3 gets messy on that one, but you're the leader because of, I think they pick you as a leader because you have all these personas that you can work with, and you're willing to just go down in that dungeon.
Which one?
3. 4, you become
'cause-
the leader for it, and then 5, you default as the leader because you're the first guy that shows up.
Yeah, well, and it kind of is eventually you're elected as leader. Because like there are like in 3 there are Persona users prior to you that like Mitsuru, Akihiko, and Yukari have been actively being Persona users for a while, and in fact, Akihiko, Mitsuru, and Shinji have had the ability for years. No spoilers, but Mitsuru, that poor girl, I love her, but like she's been through some shit, you know. But yeah, like in Persona 4, you are the first one to awaken to your persona, and in 5, same thing. And so they're like, well, you've got the experience, why don't you be our leader?
Yeah, and in other mediums, you usually take the person who can rally the group together. In comics, typically for Marvel, Captain America will usually default as being for the Avengers. Superman will be the default for the
Justice League.
And
so that's why today on the podcast about Mary Sue's and Gary Stews, we're talking about.
That's a different podcast.
Also, I don't know that I agree that Captain Marvel is usually the one who takes it. I feel like
Captain America.
Okay.
Did you say Captain Marvel? Because I
I
thought
heard Captain
America.
Marvel.
I heard in my brain it just scrambled it to Captain America, so I was like, that tracks.
Maybe I just have Captain Marvel in the brain. I don't know. We'll have to go back and watch and see who's right. If I'm wrong, no, I'm not. Shut up.
If you're wrong,
I agree.
I will add it in. That
I agree that Captain Marvel is usually the one who takes it.
anyway. But no, in many cases, Iron Man will take over for that role as well. It sort of depends on which era of the Avengers you're talking about.
Yeah, I feel like one of the founders, right? Where
One of the founders will step up for it.
Cap, Iron Man, never the Hulk. Sometimes
Never the Hulk.
Rarely Thor.
Not even once.
Not Hulk. Not even once.
Thor's like that older brother with good intentions.
Now, for Teen Titans, it gets kind of funky. It's whoever's the oldest Robin there. If Damian's there, they'll more likely listen to Tim, because Tim Drake will be defected as a leader. But the second Nightwing shows up, everyone listens to Nightwing. Just Nightwing's in charge.
Like, can you blame them?
No, I can't blame them.
Like,
Nightwing's amazing.
I would never like if I could listen to anyone in the DCU but Damian, I would. That kid is something else. He's gone through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I do think that's kind of interesting because I do know this is not Teen Titans specifically, but it is Teen Titans adjacent. So it's Young Justice. There's a very strong back and forth about Robin not wanting to be the leader and not feeling like he's ready in the first couple seasons of the Young Justice show. And then eventually he does take up the mantle, but there's like 3 or 4 people before him who are the leader, which I think is interesting.
Aqualad is the leader for the first season, and then once they start getting into, I think it's second season or such, there's an episode I really like. It's that Aqualad questions himself as being the leader, and then he just sort of goes down the list of everybody there. He's like, literally, I'm the only one who can't, until Robin actually wants the job. That's it. I'm stuck as the de facto leader, and which makes him end up being the leader of the Justice League on the later seasons when they do their time skip at some point.
God, Young Justice was such a good show.
Oh, it
I
really
watched
was.
season 1 of it and I loved it.
It's
Mhm.
like,
It's good.
in my
It's
opinion, good
All
back
right.
to front,
Fantastic.
much like the original Teen Titans.
So let's move off the leader section but we know that we have a leader on it. Now, well, let me backtrack something on the leader before we get off. Sometimes the leader of your group happens to be just the focus of it. This is kind of a bigger thing in YA novels. Katniss Everdeen ends up being the leader for fulfilling that leader archetype when it comes to the Hunger Games, and but they just sort of get, even though they don't really do much in the way of leadership, people just sort of follow them, and now that's how they. That was one of the big examples I wanted to make sure to.
Katniss is a symbol of the rebellion.
Mm-hmm. Or even Star Wars, Luke fulfills the leadership role on that.
He is the symbol of the rebellion. Wait, I don't know if that's.
You just start repeating it. You just put it on a tape marker. He is the symbol of the rebellion.
Yeah.
If you say they, you can use it for both.
Yeah, just make that as a quick clip. But yeah, so that's one of the cases that we have the leader. So to go away from the leader, we go to the number 2 spot, which is the Lancer. Most of the time it's the second in command, but not always. The Lancer is, funny enough, named after this whole trip of the Lancer is your Lancer sort of fulfills the opposite of your or fulfills the opposite or is different from your leader. If Luke Skywalker, especially in the original trilogy, is the sort of this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, this bright-eyed person who's willing to jump into the Republic. His Lancer is Han Solo, who is the jaded, smuggler who's like, it's not like that. That's sort of how we got to be more pragmatic on it. But for another example, Captain Kirk is the one who's going to be action and go into his Lancer is Spock, which is just the logical thinking guy who's there. I remember an old joke that was floating around the internet, which was, people forget in the canon for that Captain Kirk's a nerd. He's an entire nerd, but Spock is so complete logical bounded that he looks like this brave man of action in comparison to that guy. Meanwhile, you have Jean-Luc Picard, who is stoic and rigid and such, and then you have Riker, anything with a couple of legs.
Oh yeah, it was like the misunderstanding where like everyone's like, oh, Picard seems like he's the polite, put together, British man, but that's because when you're next to Riker, you're gonna look like you're the polite, like more, oh, I'm more proper, blah blah blah. But then people think Kirk is the like womanizer,
Man of action.
the womanizing like stud, blah blah. But it's like when you're next to Spock, of course you're gonna look like more, because Kirk gets some more than Spock does, but Picard doesn't get as much as Riker does, and so it's just kind of like it's balancing out, because Picard is kind of like the stud rule breaker, and Kirk is kind of like logical, thinking outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's making sense. Dana's looking at me like, what are you talking about?
No, I think you're right. I do slightly, like, Kirk has been troped. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Well, yeah, and I mean, he does
like,
enjoy sex.
He's
like,
very
he does...
much like, how many times is he like abandoned on a planet somewhere, and like there's a mysterious green woman, and the key to his escape is only through having coitus with her.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But I agree.
This is just making me more think of just behind like every super idiotic leader, there's always their second in command that's the actual brains of the operation.
But they kind of have to be.
I also really like that Kirk really does look at the Prime Directive and go, I don't think I like it.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many times when they're like, Prime Directive says you do not get involved in the conflicts and the politics of other planets, and he's like, but I wanna.
That's just like your opinion,
Like,
man.
You can't
Yeah.
tell me what to do.
I do a little thing called what I want.
But yeah, so you have it as sort of the stoic little little guy for it. But you also have as your Lancer, it
Stoic
depends
little guy.
what your it's weird to say it that way.
Kirk, stoic little guy.
But you also have like your Lancer is usually there as the opposite
I
to
meant Spock. I said Kirk. My bad.
So for example, the reason why we call this trope the Lancer is because back in the day, this trope was named after Lancelot, which is basically in the Arthurian legends the sort of a complete opposite of Arthur for that.
He said, "I can get your girl."
Yeah, is
Yeah.
it a prerequisite that they need to like bang the other significant other, or is that just like a one-off?
That's just Lancelot.
So
Okay, they're not
there's-
just
no, no,
Lancelot.
Lancelot
Hang
is
on a
one of
second.
taking one step extra.
So back there in the Justice League series, there was a series of not Justice League, but just before that in the Superman. There's this 3-part arc where Joker comes to Metropolis, and now Superman has to deal with him, but Batman follows Joker into there. So why this is important is for the purpose of Justice League, Superman's the main character, the leader of the group. Batman, who's this dark and brooding character, is his Lancer. However, in that series, he has slept with Lois Lane and has dated her for over a month and a half in front of Superman. This is not like they were in a weird.
Were they together though?
Yes,
Because
as a couple.
Oh,
Oh my.
you mean Lois Lane and Superman were?
No, Lois Lane was with.
No, that's
Bruce
the thing. Is Lancelot slept with
Guinevere.
Guinevere while she was together with Arthur.
They were
Oh my
very
god.
It was
much
a
so
whole ass
a
cheaty
couple.
thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I mean, if they have to cheat on him, no.
Okay.
If they had to be with your girl, that happened at least in this scenario.
Mhm.
Statistically, no.
Makes sense.
What is it? Zoe is Mal's Lancer, and Zoe from Firefly, and Zoe's just this stoic soldier who's ready who fights for Mal because Mal's charismatic and has this natural gift to inspire people. Zoe doesn't do that, but Zoe will fight to tooth and nail. Yeah, your Lancer's basically the person who is sort of the the opposite of what the leader is, and they kind of hold that position as a way of just sort of as a writer's dynamic, because now you have a complete opposite storytelling options that they are gonna butt heads with.
Yeah, I find it kind of interesting. We see this a lot more in Super Sentai than we do in Power Rangers, but the Blue Ranger is very typically the right-hand person. Whether, you know, I can, speaking of Shinkenger and Power Ranger Samurai again, all of those characters in the Japanese version are vassals to the Red Ranger. They are all like basically servants to, and they're going through this. But the Blue Ranger in that series is an actor, an aspiring actor, and is very much sort of like the cool character. So like, whereas, you know, the Red Ranger is very much so not so much stoic necessarily, but like passionate and leader, and they're driving the team forward. This person's kind of like the cool actor, like a traditional actor, I should say, not like a movie actor, but like a traditional actor, or Kabuki or something. I don't quite remember which, but very much so like the kind of cool, reserved character, but is there sort of their right hand person at the time.
Yeah. So you'll see that a lot in Super Sentai. You'll always have that Lancer character. In Mighty Morphin, it was Zack, the Black Ranger. But when it got to some of the other ones, that position kind of moves around a lot depending on what's happening with that one. In like anytime you have those bigger groups on that one, I know it's weird because the Persona series tends to make that almost your comic relief character is the Lancer.
And I'm just thinking right now of the Teen Titans and just like, okay, who's the second in command? Who's the second Robin?
So not always the second command, but the opposite for it. So if you the classic Teen Titans and show, the original one, not Teen Titans Go. So you have Robin's your de facto leader, but your Lancer is Beast Boy. And nobody would put him in charge, but that's because nobody would put him in charge.
I don't, I do feel like there is typically, to Ben's point, I think there is typically a power dynamic, right? Where like, there's typically an episode where the leader is gone. And this person then steps into the role of leader. They remove themselves from the role of Lancer. So Spock, oftentimes when Kirk is away, fills in the gap. Riker does the same for Picard. Blue Ranger does, or I guess Zach does for Jason when Jason's not there.
Luca does for Chrono.
Yeah.
Well,
and
Luca
so
and Morrow.
I don't know that Beast Boy. I don't recall him doing that. I might say the Lancer of Teen Titans might be closer to Cyborg, because Robin is a leader, of course, but he's also prone to rash mistakes. We see that a lot, especially if we're talking the animated series, his dealings with Slade Wilson. We see him often going off the handle, kind of looking before he leaps, whereas Cyborg is very much so like cool, calm under pressure, doesn't allow himself the high level emotions quite as much as I think Robin does.
And I will say in the Teen Titans one, if it's not Cyborg, it would potentially also be Starfire. Because
we'll get to Starfire in a second. She fits a completely different category. Because she's more emotional, and we'll get to that one in a moment. So what we have here is this case where you're just but they don't have to be a charge or a position of leadership for the Lancer. That's the important takeaway from that one. Just because you are the second person people think of, you aren't the second in command for that one. Yeah. Second charge. The reason why we think it's of that is because that's a trope that we get from science fiction all the time. If your starship captain is the one in charge, the Lancer is the guy who's second in command, and that's just because it makes it a really easy position to switch things around for that one. And so that's sort of the case for that. But you just have to work against, not antagonistically. They just are personality wise a little different than the person who's in charge. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, for example, the Lancer is Xander, who doesn't take any Willow or Xander, depending on which season you're talking about.
What about Giles?
Giles will fit under the smart guy category. We'll get to them in a second.
You're right. That's true.
Giles.
So with that, when it comes to Lancers, that's sort of the big thing, is that they are not. They don't have to be the ones in charge. They just have to be dynamically different from the other, your leader escape. And you'll see that in other types of different teams and team-based things that are like this. So moving on to the next part, since we're already here. Oh, good.
I do have a question about Lancer.
Yeah.
So I know in our notes we wrote down Sokka, right? From Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Right.
How to put this? I think Sokka's an interesting choice, and it makes sense. But I think maybe better for the role of Lancer would be Toph, because she is so different from Aang in their series, right? And like, I think there is also a neat kind of correlation there where Aang struggles with earthbending because it is so different from the way that he naturally is, right? So while I do agree Sokka is very different from Aang for sure, I almost wonder if maybe she fits in the Lancer category as well.
So they could be interchangeable for stuff,
sure.
Especially for different things on it. It's sort of how you position them writing or position them storytelling wise, because Toph would be a better example if it wasn't for how Aang grows as a character, because Toph ends up being more of their muscle than anything else. Like that whole thing with the what is it, the Fire Island players, the play that happens at the end. Like, there's a reason why Toph is portrayed by the strongest, beefiest guy they got there.
Is it because none of them want to admit they got their ass kicked by a 12-year-old girl?
Of course, Toph's amazing. I guess the Sixth Ranger would be more Zuko in this case, right? I was gonna say,
Yeah.
like, I feel like Zuko's a pretty heavy hitter as well, but there's a category that probably fits Zuko a little bit better, so that's fair.
Yeah, I think I know which one you're thinking about.
If you want an interesting example for a good Lancer who's also not in charge, Jet Black for Cowboy Bebop, because the Jet is fake.
Oh, I thought you were talking Avatar: The
I
Last
was gonna say,
Airbender Jet.
Everybody
I was like,
loves
wow.
Jet Avatar.
Excuse me.
Look, we all know Jet Black is in charge.
Yeah.
Jet Black is the only thing keeping the Bebop even slightly running, because no one else gives a shit.
No one else is going to do that.
No. And then I think Jet very much so is the Lancer for the series of Bebop, just because he and Spike are working together so often, but they are vastly different people.
I still need to watch this.
Bebop?
I have never seen it.
Oh, we're having an anime night then.
Oh yes, we.
I just broke Dane.
Dan,
Shame.
she want to understand or appreciate the jazz concert we went to. Okay.
Yeah, no, not
I still wanted to go though.
no,
No.
not shame at all. I'm envious that you get to experience it for the first time.
Oh, I feel that way.
Because that, like, for me, it was transformative. It may not be for you, and if it ain't,
yeah.
that's okay. I got a buddy who actually, he either says this to get a rise out of me, or he means this, but he says he hates it. He says it's boring, and he did not like it. And
Interesting.
that's hard for me, but it's his opinion, and I respect that.
I feel like I know enough about it to know that I am not going to hate it.
I mean, you like Big O, right?
Liked what?
Big O?
Big O.
Yeah, I love Big O.
Yeah, it's like
Oh, yeah, you're
that,
gonna
but
love
space.
Yeah, I love
And
a good
less
I love a good space. I actually for when I was back at Full Sail, I did a project. We had to make like a character and the backstories and stuff, and I actually made a space pirate.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I think you'll enjoy it. I'm excited to hear it when you get around to it.
Yeah,
I'll stop sidetracking us because I will be on this forever. But yes, Jet.
We're about to start Cowboy Bebop watch party right now.
Let's go.
Ooh.
But yeah, I do think that Jet Black is a really good
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Lancer to Spike Spiegel's leader character.
So we'll move off of the Lancers for right now because we've been on that one for a bit. But so we get into the third archetype, which is the heart.
Is Lancer from Fate's Day a Lancer?
Technically, it could be a Lancer. If your Lancer could be a Lancer, but not all Lancers are Lancers.
True. Sorry.
That's how that works.
I know you said you wanted to get off Lancer, but I had to get it in there while it was still fresh.
One of us needed to get into that
Yeah.
Fate state.
I'm
Lancer.
so glad you did because that was just gonna bother me the whole time.
Because obviously Saber's the leader, right?
Right.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
Lancer sometimes is a Lancer, but I think Lancer is sometimes also not a Lancer.
Yeah.
Yo, dog, heard you like Lancers.
Saying that Lancer's a Lancer and Lancer is also not a Lancer is all an accurate sentence.
True.
So anyway, moving on to that. So what we have is the position of the heart. Now, it used to be called the chicken in the old trope system, but I hated that one. The heart, I think, makes more sense.
Like Mati.
Yeah, Mati. It's your emotional core of your team, but also it could also be the person. And this is why I was saying before, Starfire doesn't fit that category. It's also the one who's the most emotional reverence on that.
I would say her Beast Boy definitely from Teen Titans are definitely the heart, right?
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
I think Beast Boy is definitely like. If anything, he's probably the most sympathetic of like anyone on Teen Titans because he's the one who's like he knows what it's like to be a freak and an outsider to people to be accepted to others.
Yeah, and so like having that kind of emotional heart case doesn't is just that they're the ones that will see things more emotionally. It's important to note that because another good example of who's a heart character is actually from Stargate SG-1, which is Daniel Jackson of all people. Because Daniel Jackson is the archaeologist, but he understands civilizations and such, and so he's like, we can't intrude or we don't push into this other groups unless they work together with this.
So I think Daniel Jackson's a really interesting call. I do agree he's very much so the like, there's not a prime directive on Stargate. I know that, but he's very much like we need to leave these people alone because we're screwing up everything.
He said, "We obey the prime directive that I'm not a part of."
Yeah, he definitely did in Stargate. I think we all remember that.
I've never seen Stargate.
Oh well, you know, right, when the Romulans attack in Stargate. And,
yeah, 100%.
And Commander Shepard uses his blaster blade to.
They punched out Worf and stuff.
Yeah, totally. But I think Daniel's really interesting because he is sort of the heart, but I also feel like he's kind of the brains. And like, granted, there are other people who are intelligent and good at what they do, but not to the same degree that he is. He's always the like Velma-esque, pushing up glasses, like reciting some sort of like, oh well, this is very obviously a you know.
Like he would fit the brains trope, which is another one we'll get into if Sam Carter wasn't there, who could like literally once figured out how to blow up a sun.
See, yeah, and Carter's so smart. That's true. I guess I kind of view Carter as more of like Riza Hawkeye from Full Metal Alchemist. I view those characters kind of similar. Oh, she's so great. Where like they're both smart, intelligent, very capable women, but like they are as badass and strong as they are smart, which is why I kind of in my brain put them into the Lancer role more often. Because I think that what is MacGyver's character's name? Jack?
MacGyver.
Oh,
Mac
Jack
and then
O'Neill.
Guyver.
What?
No, it's Mac and then Guyver. God.
Okay, for everybody who plays as a Stargate, not Liz.
Yes.
But mostly for Liz in this particular case. I said that whole sentence backwards, but for Liz, no, Richard Dean Anderson, who plays MacGyver, is the lead actor who plays Jack O'Neill in Stargate.
O'Neill. Yeah.
So MacGyver, you're not talking about the actual Matt Guyver.
DandDaine has a hard time remembering character names and actor names, and sometimes they're crossed. So Dane remembered Richard Dean Anderson as MacGyver, but not as Jack O'Neill, even though I've seen more Stargate than MacGyver at this point.
That would be like referring to Mr. T as B.A. Baracus.
I mean, it makes sense, right?
But it makes sense, yeah.
And that's kind of where I feel like, I don't know, I guess I always kind of viewed her as the second in command in Stargate. And I think that's a fair assertion, but also I could see, I mean, she's very smart. I don't mean to say that.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to downplay
smart.
her intelligence or awesomeness at all. But I just, she's so badass at like relegating her, because like the brains I feel like is relegated to like the man in the van, right? You're like you're like the Q for James Bond, where like you're fine, you know, you can do some action stuff, but like typically your role is research or development or what have you. Whereas she is so hands-on. I'm a big fan of her character. I don't know if that's coming through. Where she is so hands-on and awesome. Like it feels like an insult to be like, oh well, she's the brains. It's like, yeah, but like she's not just the brains. She could be anything. She's great.
She's amazing on that.
She's kind of a big deal.
A huge deal.
Well, actually, she is kind of a big deal.
It is a big deal.
At some point, she becomes she moves herself from being the brains to being the leader of the team.
Yeah.
And then she becomes the leader of another team in Stargate Atlantis at some point.
That's true.
Neat.
Kind of similar to Riker in that regard, right? Where like after Picard leaves, he gives Riker the D. That sounds bad. The Enterprise D.
No. The first way also worked.
I mean, you know, I don't judge.
There's fan fiction about that.
What two consenting adults get up to in their own day and age is totally fine with me. But no, anyway, I meant the Enterprise D.
Yeah.
I just totally fucked my own train of thought.
Well, Riker gives it a So, and becomes, Riker moves from the Lancer to the leader position when he does that.
Thank you. He becomes like his own leader in his own right.
And like, there's episodes all over from Next Gen that shows Riker being like when he gets to the position of leadership, he can hold his own against a lot of people on that.
And he's pretty good at what he does.
It's good, yeah.
So yeah, that was my point with with Stargate, is that the brains definitely I could see, but I don't know. I guess like it feels like Daniel gets into more again, Velma-esque trouble, where
Mhm.
like his glasses get knocked off, or he wanders away from the group because he saw a cool thing over there, and then he
Yeah.
gets captured by the enemy, right? Like, and again, no hate to Daniel's character, I like him a lot, and I think there's a lot of really cool things about him, but like,
Mhm.
he feels like more of that role of like, I was so interested in this thing over there that I got distracted, and now, I'm in trouble. But
Yeah.
I will think a way out of it.
I mean, if we go with the same sort of weird 5-man band, I think, would you say not Velma, but would you say that oh shoot,
Daphne?
it's not Fred. Fred's definitely the leader of the group.
Fred's the leader. Here, I'm gonna. Okay.
Now, hear me out.
Are we on the Lancer or the Heart right now?
We're at the Heart.
No, we're on the Heart.
But
So hear me out. Like, I don't think it's actually Daphne, but I think Scooby.
Yeah,
of all
It's Daphne,
people.
you're hearing me
I was
out.
just thinking, just like Scooby-Doo would be
Daphne's not a
the
hear me
heart
out.
of like
Daphne is
Mystery
not a hear me
Incorporated.
out.
But also, let us not forget, in the first live action, he was the only one pure of heart who would be able to fill out a ritual. He truly is the heart
Scooby is the heart
of the Scooby Gang.
for sure.
Yeah.
In order, Fred is the leader.
Hmm?
Weirdly, Shaggy is the Lancer. Scooby
Mhm.
is the heart. Daphne is the strong guy, or strong person, I guess. But
Mhm.
I'm reading off a script here. Not a script, but a
A
guidelines.
note.
The notes.
And Velma's the brains.
See,
Yeah.
Like-
yeah. So that totally works out. Like,
They're pretty
you know
spot
what?
on with what they're about.
100%.
100%.
God, I
The
love
heart
Scooby.
is just like, which I always thought was hilarious, like, because I was understanding like writing tropes. Like I was reading through, big philosophers, writers. It was like the guy who wrote Man with 1,000 Faces. Why can I think of it? Joseph Campbell.
Yes.
Okay, and then other writers, and then like I went back and watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Like, hang on, the Pink Ranger's name is Kimberly Hart. Isn't this a little on the nose? Anybody else? The Heart is literally named Hart in this case.
Just
Am
roll
I the
with
only
it.
who figured that one out? Right.
Just roll with it.
Look, Heart was very much so applicable because I had a huge crush on that lady.
Yeah.
Kimberly,
She was the first crush on
Kimberly
many
and
people in
Tommy
the
were
90s.
like, Kimberly and Tommy were my I was too young to understand my bisexual awakening.
Oh, totally fair. And honestly, this may be a controversial take as one of the Power Rangers people on this, but Tommy doesn't end up with Kat. I'm sorry. I don't care what sort of Santa future, episode they want to show us where we see Tommy and Kat's kids. I don't care. I don't care. I
No.
don't,
Okay,
I
sorry,
don't
but-
believe it.
In the Power Ranger movie, Kimberly and Tommy were standing together in the crowd. I just have chosen to believe that that's them
That's the end of
married,
it.
being like, we gotta go see these guys.
And then in the Turbo
Dude, right.
movie,
Oh my god.
her and Jason show up. They're evil, and there's another couple of moments there. So like,
they're just a couple no matter what they do.
They
They
are.
went evil together. They
Oh,
went to
but
go see the
did-
new
well,
Power Rangers
that
together.
was Jason technically.
Jason, sorry.
Jason's the
I was thinking Tommy.
yeah. No, Tommy and Kimberly belong together, but Jason and Kimberly are evil in Turbo. Just to be clear.
I'm more just thinking of just the horrendous way that they caused the breakup between Kimberly and Tommy. Just
Dear John letter.
a couple months and a couple months into college, it's I found a dude. We're totally in love now. Like,
I mean, let's be honest here, though. These are the same people that wrote, Zach, Trini, and Jason off and being like, going to a peace conference. Bye.
Are you there forever? Is that how that works?
Apparently.
Apparently so.
oh my god.
Peace conferences are just another word for being held hostage.
True.
It's better than going upstairs and never coming back again.
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
What? Who went upstairs and never came back?
Lots of people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of sitcom characters.
They go like your sitcom characters, like what is it? Like in that '70s show, or a prep character, Donna. She has a sister. She went upstairs. Then one episode, never came back down.
Yep.
Just gone.
Never seen again.
Just
Never seen it again. And that happens a lot.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so your heart is your emotional core of your group. That's the short end of it.
Checks out.
And as your heart doesn't actually have to be is not gender specific. It's not even species specific. Like Scooby's the heart.
Yeah.
The heart is just whoever is the one who's going to emotionally connect to people.
Dot from Reboot, would she be leader or would she be heart?
I'd put her as the leader.
Bob is the leader. Dot would probably be the Lancer.
See, I don't know. I think
Dot
Dot's more
would
the
be
leader, and Bob is
Bob
more the
is
Lancer.
like Bob is very I kind of do what I want, but I have like my heart in the right place. But
Yeah,
I
so
think
I
I
can see
think Dot is, because Dot is like, she runs Command HQ and all that shit. Like she is, I think 100% the leader, and I think, yeah, I could see Bob as the Lancer. Maybe Enzo would be the heart, since
Could be.
especially when he's older and has to learn how to, like, because he's really closed himself off because he was trapped in that program for so long, and then him and Andrea like show back up, and I think that him like kind of coming out of that shell again, I think I could see him being heart for sure.
Yeah, I do think
I love that show so much.
Reboot's so good. I do think oftentimes they do relegate the heart to being femme presenting and or children, and I don't
Persona.
I don't think that's great, but I do think that it is a trope that has happened where like they can point to it and be like, see, child, they're the heart. And like most people are like, yeah, okay, I kind of get that.
It's
now,
like I could see,
or is even the mascot of the group.
Okay, but nobody's gonna say that Teddy or Morgana are the
heart of their team. No.
Look,
but
y'all, you
I
look
think
a little tired. I think we should end this podcast and you should go to bed.
all right, Morgana. I get so tired of Morgana being like, you should go to bed. I'm like, I'm gonna work out instead. No, because I think that is very fair, because they do that is something in Persona where the lovers is often like the emotional core of the group, and that is Yukari, who calling her the emotional core, I guess would be a thing. Because she is emotional. It really is when it comes to Mitsuru that she has some issues. But then Rise, she's the lovers and the heart, I would say. And then On is the lovers, and I think she is also the heart of the group. So I think that is definitely a trope that Atlas has been like, it works.
It works. Do you want to know an example of someone who's both the heart but probably the most dangerous person in the team? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Mikey. Michelangelo is the heart of that team. He is also probably the second most dangerous person on there.
Who's
or
the first?
Third. That's tied between either Leo or Raph.
Right.
Leo, I gotta give you a little bit of a hard time, because you started out being like, he's the most dangerous, and then it was like, he's like the second most dangerous, and it was like, he's like
he's
the
one
third
of the
or
most
fourth most dangerous. It's like
he's one of the most
he's
dangerous.
just getting bumped down each time.
He's more of the collateral damage of the group.
Well, okay, so like Michelangelo by himself can actually hold his own with almost anybody out there, except for probably Leonardo, who is just that more skilled than Michelangelo. It's like his one flaw is he doesn't focus on anything, but he's a naturally gifted fighter and athlete.
We all know Leo's the best, and that's fair.
Yeah, Leo is the best. I stand by it.
Leo concurs.
Now, moving away from the heart, we're going on to the next position.
Mikey is 100% the heart, just to be clear. I agree with you on that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Well, like I was saying, so moving on to the next one, because there's like a couple of other dudes we need to get through. There's the strong guy. This is the person. Guy is sort of non-generic, non-gendered. It's just a guy. The guy's a guy.
The strong person.
That guy is a guy. So with that, though, the strong person is usually the person who outputs strength or power, or is the powerhouse of your group.
Raven
or
from
is
Teen Titans.
So Teen Titans, like, yeah, Cyborg, I can see that.
Cyborg over Raven?
Cyborg sort of on the looks. Raven, no. Raven is the who I always think is the strongest of them.
Yeah. So
100%.
Raven's the strong person.
Mm-hmm. Toph in Avatar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Back Ninja Turtles.
Raph?
Raph. Yep.
Raph is the strong guy for sure.
Yeah, he is going to punch a thing. That's what he
Jones?
does.
I'm trying to think about who's the strong man in Reboot, though. Would that be the surfer guy? Oh God, what's his name?
If it was more regular, it'd be if they were a more regular character, it'd be Mouse.
Yeah, I think a couple.
Oh no, I would
Thank
say
you,
Mouse. Mouse becomes more regular starting in season 2. I forgot about Mouse. God, she's so cool.
Yeah, she is.
Or if you're going with I'm drawing the blank. The one with Commander Shepard in it.
Mass Effect?
Mass Effect. Whoever's the Krogan is always going to be the strong guy.
Oh, yeah.
Although, oh my god, I can't remember her name.
Miranda.
Alien lady.
Liara.
Yes.
Tally.
No.
Liara.
The Asari. Sorry?
The Asari, yeah. The Asari's right.
It's been a little bit since I've played Mass Effect, and my rust is showing.
Go play it right now.
Okay, bye.
It's one of my favorite games.
It's great. No, Mass Effect 1, I would never do that to myself again. But,
Oh, the Legendary Edition of Mass Effect 1, though, is so good.
is it? Okay. Well,
It's so
do I
much
still
better.
have to pilot the Mako?
Yes, but they made it so much better. They
My-
made it comparable to how you play it and how you pilot it in 2.
This is my doubt face, but I'll give it some thought. I'll give it.
It's so fun. When I was first playing Mass Effect 1, back before the Legendary Edition, I was in the Mako, and I was fighting a Thresher Maw, and the Thresher Maw flipped me upside down, and like being flipped upside down, my camera was also upside down, and then the Thresher Maw flipped me right side up, and the camera did not go right side up, and so I was driving like this, but the camera was like it was super messed up, and it was really funny because I was like, I don't know how to get out of this, and I had to have the Thresher Maw flip me again.
Yeah. There's no good way, but yeah.
Shinji is the strongman in Persona 3.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go Shinji from
Evangelion.
From Evangelion, and I was like, that is a bold claim.
I'm sorry. You're
I'm
gonna
gonna need to
defend
see some
your
sources.
Yeah, it's like I don't even know. But yeah, I can see the Krogan, of course, because they are physically strong. But I think Liara is just as skilled and in combat.
Yeah.
And she becomes the Shadow Broker.
Yeah,
Sorry.
she does.
She's so good. I think Shinji from Persona 3 is the strong man.
Shinji from Evangelion, definitely the strong man.
Yeah, the strongest of all of them.
I mean, like, kinda.
Tag Dynam. I mean, you're right.
Maybe not physically.
No.
Yeah. So no, I do think the strong person's kind of an interesting role, right? And it's not necessarily just about the person who is physically strongest, right? But those who are like probably the most adept at getting the job done. I don't know if that's
or essentially like the powerhouse or the stoic one, the one that everyone can use as a backbone for this.
So would it be Mouse?
What?
So would it be Mouse?
Yeah. Well, Mouse gives off this radius that like mouses can handle everything on their own if they needed to.
She can.
Mm-hmm.
And she can. She can do whatever she wants.
Yeah. Like a good example on that is you have Jane from Firefly. Jane's a strong guy.
Yeah.
But Jane's a strong merc, and that is about it.
That's the only skill he's got. That is hat.
But the strong guy also has a weird counter trope, which has been played to death, and it used to be called the Worf factor. Now, for those who don't know, in Star Trek: The Next Generation, Worf is the head of security, and he's the big tough Klingon that we have on our ship. So, if you want to quickly tell everybody that, hey, who we're dealing with today is a problem, have the bad guy punch Worf and have Worf go down.
True.
The end.
But Captain, I must protest. I am not a merry man. That's my favorite Worf line. Sorry.
Borg shows up. We could assimilate him like we assimilated everyone. Punch him. Now you can use this for it's a quick way to showing strength. Now in the right hands, it feels right. Infinity War, Thanos' first guy he takes down that you see in the movie is Hulk.
Mhm.
But that establishes this is a guy, and he doesn't even have his gauntlet. He takes it off just to fight the Hulk. And it just establishes that, no, this guy's a serious threat, and you need as many Avengers to throw at this guy.
It is so frustrating to me, speaking of Marvel Comics,
Mhm.
that every time they have a world-ending event, Thor is gone. He's just not
He's too
there.
powerful.
Like,
It's like, why not include Thor? Thor likes to...
it's like Civil War. Civil War, right?
Civil War,
The
yeah.
Avengers are literally tearing themselves apart.
Mhm.
Where Thor at? He's gone. It's
He
fine.
said he doesn't
Thor
need to
has
deal
his
with this
own problems,
shit.
apparently.
And then, spoilers for an old ass comic book at this point,
Yeah.
Tony Stark clones him. But it's wrong.
Thor?
It's a bad
Oh,
clone. And like
Mhm.
he
Oh,
murders Goliath. Evil Thor clone murders Goliath. And everyone's like, what's happening? And you would think, okay, cool. So now good Thor is going to come back and fight Thor clone. Nope.
Good Thor does not come back
Nope.
for a long ass time.
Not for a long time. And he shows back up like, oh, hey guys. Yeah, sorry. I was away.
I think he shows up I know he shows up in Secret War.
Yeah.
No, in the Secret Invasion.
I do
Which
too.
means there's 2 more event comics that go by before he's like, I'll be back.
Yeah, like him not being in House of M, that makes sense. That's an X-Men thing, right?
That's the X-Men thing, yeah.
You know, him. I don't remember him being in Marvel or Avengers versus X-Men either, which is a later one.
Which is a later one, but no, I don't think he's there either.
Yeah, and this is my problem, right? And obviously, I'm biased. I'll admit that. But it feels
Mhm.
like every time there's like a world, universe-shaping event, Thor's like, "Oh, I got a haircut. I can't miss this." You know, Asgardian barbers.
It's like, it's so hard to schedule with them these days.
It's so frustrating to me. Let my boy stick around. Sorry, that's my personal rant for the day.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's like, I mean, there's tropes that are built around. Sometimes one that I'm glad is sort of going away is with the strong guy. The strong base character also has to be the dumb base.
Yes.
Oh my god, thank you.
You can't be the buff one and the smart one. That's too many.
You get
things.
one.
You know, it's like, why does he gotta be dumb all the time? It's like, don't they stop to think that maybe that their skills of kicking all the ass takes quite a bit of intelligence to figure out?
I mean, I will say I think one of the reasons why they have to nerf the strong person like that is because if they are smart and strong, they're hard to beat, right? You need to have especially with like children's TV or like daytime television, you need to have a weakness that you can exploit. So as an example, right, to go back to Avatar, we see Toph Beifong get herself in over her head fairly often. Where like she's competent, she's incredible, she's amazing, like the strongest person in the group for sure, in the gang for sure.
She's like so cool.
She's so cool.
So cool.
She is. I love her.
But like, she rushes off first, overconfident, and then gets trapped in a metal box, which does eventually, lead to the enemy's downfall. But like, that's
could have not been there.
She could have not been there, right?
Mm.
And there are some times where there are some consequences where, and that, not to say that Toph Beifong is dumb by any stretch of the imagination,
No,
but she's rash, right? So that's kind of her crux there. And I do think it's really interesting because, I do think that there are certain times where you do see, I mean, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, of course, but also in the comics where the Hulk unlocks his Bruce Banner side of his brain, and he is pretty much unstoppable because he is one of the smartest people on the earth. And
with
also,
one of the most powerful bodies,
yes, right,
in the universe.
100%. It's just crazy.
Yeah, sometimes you just need that as a juxtaposition, or sometimes you have built a D&D character and you have put everything in strength and called it a day.
Int is always my dumb stat, without fail. I don't play wizards or intelligence-based classes much, so like that helps. But
yeah, it's gonna go down a couple notches.
Always my dumb stat. I'd rather put points into charisma than into intelligence, which I don't know what that says about me, but
that says that you'll want to talk your way out of this problem. You don't know what the words are, but you're going to talk your way out of it.
I like your words, funny man.
When
what was it?
Punch the things.
It was. You remember, Liz, when we were playing Outer Worlds, and you made your Chad character, where you
yeah.
actually gave him
Can I
super
tell
huge
you?
strength and
Can I
dumb
tell
as
you
a
about
rock?
Chad?
Yep.
So in Outer Worlds, have you played Outer Worlds?
Well,
Like,
okay, hold on.
so-
Hold on. I get there are two games with similar names.
not Outer Wilds.
Is Outer Worlds the
is
one where they've got
the
salt
Fallout.
tuna and the world is terrible and you work for a company?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
And it's from the people who made Fallout, so it's very Fallout-ish, but in space.
I'll take your word for that.
Okay, so
I have played Outer Worlds.
when you are making your character, you're given the option to add stats or take away stats. And I was playing like a pretty balanced character, kind of following what I would do. And then I was like, but when I was like messing around with the different point allocations, there's one point where I took intelligence completely away and it said unlocks dumb conversation options. And I was like, okay, I'm coming back to this. So then I made a second character that I named Chad. And I gave him like all strength, no intelligence. And it's the funniest thing because it does unlock the dumb conversation options to where he takes everything literally. And of course there's times when it can't follow that because it has to progress the story along. And so he'll say some intelligent stuff, but there's there's one point when you have to go out and find these people who left the town, and there's this like old woman who's the leader of this town, and like leaving was illegal, and so having this like group living outside of the town confines or whatever, you're sent to go bring them back. And so you're talking to this woman and she's like, oh, we go, we're just seeds on the wind going wherever, landing wherever the wind takes us or something like that. And this guy, the dumb conversation option, he goes, you guys can fly? And she goes, bless your heart.
Like,
Full on.
my sweet squirrels.
And there's a point when you talk to Parvati, and Parvati is talking about how she's just not into like sex and stuff. And I don't remember exactly how it goes, but you can ask her questions about it. And then she goes, it's kind of like, so, did your parents never teach you about this? And he just it's so funny because he just gets to unlock the dumb character or the dumb conversation options. And it's so good. And the characters are like, what are we doing with this guy?
Why are we here with this guy?
Why is he here, actually?
I think kind of similar to that, right? You see from Critical Role, Grog Strongjaw, Stonejaw, played by Travis Willingham. And Travis, seemingly, I don't know him personally, but seems like a really smart individual. Like he seems like he knows kind of like his way around some stuff. He's an intelligent guy. But Grog is not. He's got an intelligence of 8, if I remember correctly.
He plays a very dumb character
He
really
does.
well.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do find that it is kind of funny. You see these moments where Travis slips in and Grog takes a back seat. And so there are moments in Campaign 1, including the animated show, where like Travis will inject himself almost on accident to be like, oh, we should do this. And then someone's like, did Grog just say that?
Like,
Oh, I've watched most of Campaign 1.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then he's just like, what about they'll have to backtrack.
It's like, what? You think Grog can't have good ideas too?
I mean, literally, though. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, he can't. That's the
He
thing.
can't. Yeah. Your strong guy is just sometimes the big dumb guy, but sometimes he's just the muscle bound dude. Either way, he gives you the sense of and they don't even have to physically have a lot of muscle. They just have to get this sort of sense that they are the big fighter, or they're the strongest person on there. So if we go to the opposite side of the spectrum, that's the brains. This is the 5th of the 5-man band. And the brains are always the smart guy. I'm like, if it's the 90s, they're the hacker. That's just what you do.
I mean,
even, what is it?
Always gotta have a hacker in the group.
Even Sailor Moon, That's Avi's role. Like as the hacker has to have it. Everyone else gets these cool laser powers. She gets a laptop.
It's on her arm. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
If I remember
She does get
correctly.
like a little wrist computer
It's
thing.
like, you've been how hard is get that good Wi-Fi in the 90s?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
She ran
also
on
fair.
sailor power.
Didn't? No, that was Jupiter who had the thing that cropped up.
Yeah.
Jupiter would have been the strongman.
Yeah,
Yes,
Jupiter's
very much
strong.
so.
Just as under. Yeah.
Venus is the Sixth Ranger, which I always take umbrage with because she did it first, but whatever.
Yeah.
Also, there's only 5 of them, so figure that out. Mars is the Lancer.
There's like 18 of them.
Okay,
So.
there are 5 inner senshi. There are 4 outer senshi because there are 9 planets.
And then there's the Sailor Senshi.
Look, we don't
Oh,
talk
okay.
about
Or there's
Sailor
the-
Chibi or Sailor Chibi Chibi, okay?
No. I'm talking about the Sailor Starlights.
Oh,
And we're
no,
going-
you know
we're
that
referring to
second
the
string
Sailor
at
Ruse.
best.
Wow.
Yeah, Sailor Starlights, second string at best. I'm
Look at
just
this
saying.
pathetic little thing.
I like the Sailor Starlights, but there are 3 of them, and
Aren't there 4? Oh no, there's 3.
there's 3, and they don't do a whole
Shit.
lot.
They're 3 and they all suck.
Don't get me wrong, they're cool characters, but in terms of the Sailor Scouts, right? I think there are 5 inner and 4 outer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Before they took my girl Pluto out.
How many planets are there, guys? I don't know. I
9!
grew up in the American school system.
At the time, it was 9.
Okay.
Pluto was my girl, okay?
No,
she
Pluto's
was my
great.
favorite.
Pluto can still be a Sailor Scout. I'm fine with that. I'm good
I
with
love
that.
her.
She's
my fave.
great. But no, like,
Babe.
I do think it's a little bit interesting because, oh god, I'm in
What?
danger.
I apologize, the GTP community, for the absolute Philistine I live with.
Okay, look,
Oh my goodness.
look.
Oh, hell no.
I'm
The
just
word,
saying.
the word of the day is Philistine.
Sailor Moon's the
Brought to you
leader.
by
You got Sailor Mars the Lancer. You've got
Mhm.
Sailor Mercury the brains. You've got Sailor Jupiter the strong person. And Sailor Venus is not the heart. That's probably Luna, I guess.
Yeah.
Aw, I
Like if I had to
See,
pick one,
mascot.
I'd say it's probably Luna.
Oh,
Sailor Venus is the Sixth Ranger.
Yeah.
She is. She shows up after the fact, after the team is already together. She's already been doing her thing. And then they're like, yo, dude, you want to join? And they're like, no, I'm better than you.
She came first though. She was Sailor
She
V.
was first. Yeah. That's why it's frustrating to me that she's the Sixth Ranger.
false
Mhm.
princess to keep Serena
Yeah.
safe
I agree.
with Artemis.
I agree. She had a reason for being active first. But
She is the guardian of Sailor Moon. She had to be there to make sure that Sailor Moon was going to be okay when
Yes.
she awakened.
No Sailor Chibi or Chibi Chibi.
Oh, look. I
Do
don't.
you not know who they are?
I just don't like them, if I'm being honest.
That's fair.
I just don't care for like the planets I can get behind. The Sailor Stars, okay. Sure. That's fine. But what is a Sailor Chibi? What is
She's
that?
Mini Moon.
Yeah, what Mini
She's
Moon?
the Moon's moon.
There's not a moon for the moon. And what is Chibi Chibi? The moon's moon?
Listen, what was she gonna be when Mom was Sailor Moon? Like,
Is
what
this-
was she gonna be?
is this
what,
like
what was her
3
role?
wolf moon, but it's 3 Sailor Moons?
Moon,
The
moon.
moon's got a moon for its moon. Look,
Yo, I heard you like Sailor Moon, so we got a moon for your moon.
and I get it, right? You're absolutely right. You know, she is the daughter of Serena. She needs to be, or Usagi, depending on what version you watch. She wanted to be like her ma. I get it. I just don't like her as a character personally. She wasn't written for me, and that's fine.
So if you're wanting to get a good example of like the brains as a brains character, I mean, you got to give it to the original Blue Ranger, Billy Cranston. Literally won't stop
yeah.
building stuff.
He built the Rad Bug, which is a
Yeah.
VW Beetle that flies. Now, I don't know. Some of our audience may be a little bit too young to remember the VW Beetle.
Yeah.
The original, not the remake. The original, not the one that came out in the 2000s. There is not a worse piece of machinery that I have had the displeasure of riding inside than that of the VW Beetle.
Have you been in a Ford Pinto before?
I've been in a Daewoo, which
so
is
the
kind of
Pinto-
similar.
Yeah, kind of. To be fair, the Pinto ran okay as long as you didn't get rear-ended, because then you exploded.
Sure.
It's got a little tiny, flaw in
Uh-huh.
that.
I had a friend who had a Geo Metro. That was fine. Anyway, not a great vehicle by any stretch of the imagination, but Billy Cranston, original Blue Ranger, made one fly. That alone deserves a Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, and also got it to it goes into the morphing grid. It just can just jack in there for a second. It only goes one place, but that's all it needs to do.
He built their communicators.
I still remember there one time where I think it was Trini's little sister got turned into a cardboard because of a clown monster.
Yes.
And of all things, Billy's just like, "Oh, don't worry, I can definitely figure this out." Just like, can you? Can you though? This, Billy, even I'm questioning how good you are at this point. But I mean, let's see how this goes.
Mm-hmm. Now, the brains of the operation doesn't actually also mean science. In other cases, that they are your wizard, your magic user, the guy who just knows a lot about lots of things for it. The person who has all that mystical energy. Obi-Wan is the original one for who doesn't do much in the first Star Wars, but he is wise and he gives good advice. This is where Giles comes in, by the way. Looking up stuff. Giles can cast magic, right?
Yeah.
No?
I was about to be like, no, but he's not a wizard. And I was like, oh no, he actually kind of can. I think he does later on. It's been a
Later
long
on, I
time.
think he does, not at the beginning. But yeah, so your wizard character, your wise old person, or just wise person, they are just they represent either wisdom or intelligence as far as your thing go. The funny one is in classic OG Star Trek, the brains is not Spock, because Spock is definitely a Lancer. The brains falls on Scotty because he just fixes everything.
What about Bones?
I love
Bones is the heart.
Bones is my favorite character.
Yeah, Bones, Leonard Bones McCoy, he is the doctor. He's always the most emotional of them
I
all.
guess that's
So
true.
he's the heart of that group. Your brains is typically the one who's just exudes that sort of note.
Is Willow the muscle? Sorry.
Ooh, what would Tara be? Would Tara possibly be part of the heart?
Or is
Mhm.
Willow the heart from Buffy?
In the earlier seasons, Willow was the heart.
Yeah, but then she gets badass and goes evil for a bit and then is fine
Yeah.
later.
And then
After,
finally-
accidentally getting spoilers, after accidentally getting her girlfriend dead.
Well, you know, who hasn't been there?
Oh no, that's what drives her to go evil.
Mhm.
Because she goes after Warren.
She's probably still the heart. That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can be strong on the heart.
Mhm.
Viewer,
You can have a strong heart.
viewer out
Just
there.
do a lot of cardio.
Gotta do more cardio.
So that's the brains of the operation. That's sort of the thinking person of that. But usually the nerdy science guy is always the old 80s trope for that one.
Yeah.
If we have a group of people,
Pocket
the
protector,
nerdy one's going to be in there.
Glasses.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
the
Can hold their
whole-
own, but only once they get all these powers first.
Mhm.
So next to that one, and since we've already slid in there, let's just keep on going. There's the Sixth Ranger. Now it's called the Sixth
Tommy
Ranger.
Frickin' Oliver is my boy.
I was just trying to say that Tommy Oliver was enough Power Ranger colors to become his own Power Ranger team.
True.
Yeah. What is it? The thing on that one was they literally had Tommy Oliver as a character, but only meant for I think 3 episodes.
Yeah.
3 episodes, but then he became ridiculously powerful, or not powerful, but popular. Actually,
You
he
can't
gets
bring in
powerful.
someone like Jason David Frank and not expect people to just be like, no, keep that guy.
Right.
It's like, whoa.
He was cool. He was hot. He was
He was a teenager with attitude.
he was cool and hot.
So your sixth ranger is usually a late entry, someone that comes in after the group has already been established, and they're usually there to kind of rock the group a little bit, or they are seen as someone who doesn't play by the entire rules as the group does.
True.
If you want a comic example for it, when they redid the X-Men, like, because the original X-Men had 5 people, and then they became the Uncanny X-Men in the 70s, and they added new characters. Well, a lot of them didn't stay originally, but Wolverine was one of them. And Wolverine completely is completely different. That wandering samurai type move that he does.
Way cooler than Cyclops, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Cyclops likers, get in the comments, fight me, let's go.
Is that Remy LeBeau?
No, Cyclops is Scott Summers.
Yeah. Remy LeBeau is Gambit.
Oh, Gambit was the one. My sister
Gambit's
had a massive
great.
crush on Gambit.
How could you not? Look at the man.
Yeah, we would watch old X-Men, and we would watch the old X-Men, and it was just like,
To be fair, Gambit was also another Sixth Ranger that pops up later. With his whole thief backstory and such.
X-Men
gets kind
hard.
of weird because they're like, outside of Cyclops, everyone else gets kind of interchangeable.
There's a lot of Sixth
wow.
Rangers. Well, I would say there is the core team, right? Cyclops, Beast, Jean Grey, Angel. I mean, the original blue team. Absolutely sticks around in the X-Men animated series at the very least. But then you do have your sort of, I'm going to use a term, I don't mean it in a negative way. Your second string X-Men.
Yeah.
They're great. But your Wolverine.
oh, but the Sailors
Okay,
the
look,
Sailors Stars are the second
they
strings
are,
and not
at best.
not as cool.
They're not as cool. But Wolverine's way cooler than Cyclops is, so it's okay. But no, like you've got your Wolverine, your Gambit, your Rogue, your Storm, I would say.
Yeah.
Storm was so cool.
She's so cool.
Oh, especially in the 80s Storm, when Storm had the Mohawk.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was awesome.
And then became a vampire for a while.
Babe alert.
But it's mostly that they go kind of against the grain with everyone else. Like, a weird Sixth Ranger for Justice League Unlimited, or the Justice League Unlimited series might just as well be, I would say Green Lantern, the more militaristic thinking person versus everybody else. Or Hawkgirl.
Hawk. Okay.
Hawkgirl's the like quick to violence and ready to go.
I gotta do this in order. Sorry. Superman's the leader.
Yeah.
Batman's
Right.
the Lancer.
Right.
The Heart.
Batman can
It's the Flash. The Heart's the Flash. There's a whole arc for the arc when they find out that's what starts the Justice Lords, because the Flash is gone.
And he's such a cute, goofy
Mhm.
True. Diana's
Yeah.
the strong person.
Yep.
Wonder Woman. Brains.
That gets messy on this one because
yeah.
they're all
Both
kind of
the
fit
brains.
that brain section. Like, so that's the thing, and we'll get to that part later, but not all your systems like this are cut and dry, unfortunately. Sometimes you bump into a situation where they don't fit, but I'll explain that when we get to that point for it. But yeah, like, it's usually the person who stands outside, at least sociologically, from the other team. If everybody in this team are like, Wolverine's a good example because everybody in this team is like, let's be like the superheroes. That's how X-Men started. They had their uniforms so they would be similar to the Avengers as superheroes, so they didn't have that so they could not have the stigma of just being mutants, but also we're here to help. And then Wolverine will stab a guy.
He had it coming.
He had it coming.
But Tommy Oliver, which is like a one as the Green Ranger, is a one-man wrecking crew.
Never mind.
Word.
They put him on a pretty high pedestal, and I'm aware it's mostly there so that way he can just be an antagonist and have that story arc. But still, you have to be able to everyone knows that he can hold his own if he ever needs to against most of everyone that's out there.
And that is kind of the unfortunate part about it, right? Is that like you have Tommy Oliver as the Green Ranger, who's evil initially and then becomes good later. And as evil Tommy, he's the baddest person in the room. He's such a strong fighter. He houses all 5 of the original Rangers, no problems. There's a couple of times he shows up in their Megazord, throws them out of it. Like, just an absolute bad mamma jamma. But then he goes good, and they still struggle to fight Goldar or whomever. Like,
Every time you fight them as a boss, they're tough, but once they join your team, they lose a lot of levels.
What's up with that?
It's like the paladinification of Cecil.
Yes, we're like, holy crap, this guy's the baddest person in the. He's incredible. He's so good at what he do. And then you get him in your party again, and you're like, oh, I don't.
You have to put him in the back row of your party because otherwise he just is out here. He dies. That's what happened to Tommy Oliver. He got set back to level 1 when he became good.
True. It's like, I liked you better before. What happened?
Now, just because they stand on the opposite, sometimes they just don't. They mesh really well. A good example for that one is Chekhov from Star Trek, because he's not there as one of the original characters. He gets a fun little side story. George Takei, who plays Sulu, got an opportunity to work on a movie, and was signed up for this movie, but it was going to go into the scheduling. So they added Chekhov in there for a couple of episodes just to take over for that, just to beat, because they realized, oh no, we don't have someone who is actually flying the ship. We really should do something about that. Star Trek back in the day did not have a good crew setup because, again, they don't realize what they're doing at this time. They're kind of new to this. So after he comes back, they're like, what are we going to do with Chekhov? Keep him around.
May as well.
And so, like, they change him from the pilot to being, like, the weapons operator. Called it a day. But yeah, so sometimes it's just, we add another person in to, like, spice up the flavor, but not all of them is as spicy as Tommy Oliver. If you're wondering why we put him on this pedestal, he's earned it. He's
so cool.
He is the person that, like, rearranged that. He's the reason why we have 6 seasons of Marty Morphin and not 3.
Yeah.
He's so cool.
Like, they like him so much, they went to a different season of Super Sentai to find a way to bring him back.
Mm-hmm.
The White Ranger powers is from a completely different show that has nothing to do with the original footage they used for Mighty Morphin. It's completely different. It's a completely different show. He doesn't. He literally doesn't even go here.
Like, that's the best example for that. He doesn't even go here.
But we're glad he did.
And then eventually he finally became the Red Ranger.
Yep. And then
he became
the Red Ranger again. And then
he
the
became
Black
a mentor
Ranger.
to everyone else.
And then there's an episode where he morphs through all the powers, which is so cool. The Master Morpher is one of the coolest things they've ever invented.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. So, Tommy Oliver, just the 6th Ranger.
Get me off of this topic, or I will continue to talk about it.
Andrea's the 6th Ranger. Am I right?
For Reboot, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I was like, of what?
Yeah.
Listen,
who's
my guy.
Andrea? Where are you going at?
The A and the I in her name are capitalized because she was the AI in a video game and then was freed from her AI shackles. So it's ANDR AI capitalized A.
So now we get on to the 7th spot for our 7-man team, and the 7th spot is the outsider. This is usually your character that doesn't fit in with everyone else, and so they're always like outside of the group, but they're part of the group.
I remembered the surfer's name from Reboot just in time to say he's the outsider.
Nice.
It's Ray Tracer, and I remember. Can I geek out a little bit?
I haven't been this entire time, so no.
So Reboot has characters that are named after different types of obviously like computer terms. So there's like dot matrix printers and stuff. So Fong is the wise old man, and he is actually named after Fong shading. And Fong shading, if I remember correctly, might be wrong here, is actually a metallic type of shading, which is the type of shading used on his character model.
Because he's so shiny.
Yeah, that's why he's so shiny. So so his is Fong shading, or is Fong, after the Fong shading. Ray tracer is something that is going to be a lot more common for people now. Ray tracing is a type of reflective material that is used a lot in video games now, so that you get better like reflections in puddles and mirrors and stuff like that. And it's absolutely overkill for your computer unless it can handle it. But ray tracer, they didn't use ray tracing on him because there was no, that's too much. The 90s computers couldn't handle that. But he was made to look like he had ray tracing on him, and so he is ray tracer.
That's pretty great, actually.
Word.
And he is the outsider because he shows up later, and he's the Australian, like, I'm just here, mate. Like, he's there to be cool.
That's awesome.
Tries to show up Bob.
They're just they're typically the outsider or someone who was looking out. That Star Trek is going to be my big two examples for this one, but that's Data, and they do this all the time in the series, except for the OG for some reason. But it's Data is the one for Next Gen, and then when Voyager comes around, when Voyager comes around, you also have the Doctor who has that role. Odo is the one in DS9, and they're in Enterprise. It's also their Doctor, but I forget the guy's name. Unlike the Doctor of Voyager, who is the Doctor, but that Doctor actually is his name. But yeah, there's always someone who sort of, for one reason or another, is outside of that. Data is an android. He has no flesh and bones. Everybody else does. Mm-hmm. The Doctor in Voyager is a hologram. Again, can't even for the first couple of seasons, can't leave his room.
Rough, buddy.
Till like one of the seasons when he has to they give him the ability to leave.
That's rough, buddy.
It's rough, buddy. But yeah, so there, Martian Manhunter's the one for Justice League Unlimited, and we actually mentioned that in another one where he always stays in the tower. He doesn't want to participate with everybody else. He's just in the tower. I'll come down when you guys need me, but that's about it.
So for some reason, my brain just immediately started thinking of Peter from X-Force. It's like, hi, yeah, I just saw the advertisement and I thought I'd try it out.
Yeah, Peter that's a good example from Deadpool 2. I'm just here to try out. Do you have any powers? No, but but he's very likable and has a good headshot. So yeah, let's do this. With that, those are your generalized 7 positions that you have on that one. If you're also wondering why Star Trek comes up a lot for that, this is a staple of how they do that show, and Star Trek is so old that it's a staple that lots of series and things start taking that umbrage for it. You either typically will have a 5-man band, and then you add 2 more later, or you have a 5-man, or it starts out with 7, and here's where we go, or so like my next couple point for this one real quick is that you don't have to start your story like that. Show I've been binging right now is Grimm, and they have a 7-man band, but it started with one guy as the main character and they started adding new people get led into what the Grimm is doing, and then they become a partner, and then another person, and then another person, and they just keep adding them on until they start fitting into these roles for them.
Well, we know it's dark, but what is it called?
Grimm.
Yeah, so it's Grimm, but like, what's the show called?
Also Grimm. Also, an episode in Grimm is called Grimm.
Oh, so
but that's not the first episode. That's somewhere in like the middle of season like 3 or 4.
Is your favorite episode of Grimm?
Surprisingly, no.
Oh, sad.
I would love that motion for it, but they don't all. So we can add them in as we go. So there's never like I think Farscape is one of the weirder examples on it because it starts with 5 people, and then you find out that there's a 6th guy in the basement.
True.
And then after that, you start adding more people as you go, and 7 is where I'm quitting at this because by the end of that series, I think it's 12 main characters,
I mean,
which props to them being able to balance all of that.
Firefly is kind of the same way, right? Where like
Yeah.
you've got the main crew, and then all of a sudden, okay, so a doctor, a preacher,
Mhm.
yada yada yada, and then it's like,
it sounds like a bad joke.
sister in the basement. It's fine.
It's in the box.
Yeah, figurative basement, not literal.
So with that, the other thing is sometimes you bump into categories where they don't fit neatly. And if you've been listening to this episode for a while, we keep bumping into where they don't fit neatly. Sometimes that just happens. And either they divide up a role or the role doesn't exist for that genre. For example, who's the heart in My Little Pony Friendship Magic?
That's
I don't know.
What I wanted to talk about. It's Pinkie Pie.
Yeah. But they're all such sweethearts.
They
on
are.
it. And also,
they
Pinkie
really
Pie's kind of chaotic. Pinkie Pie could really be this.
She absolutely is. But every time they start to feel down or they're in trouble, not having a Baja Blast of a time, it's Pinkie Pie who saves them.
Yeah. But like, we have that problem with Justice League Unlimited. Who's the smart guy if half the smartest people here are already in the room?
In Unlimited, Unlimited is hard. I would say in Justice League in general, it's probably Cyborg?
Yeah, Cyborg would fit that role.
For like a non-niche pull. There's a couple I think that fit the role better, who are a bit more, like technological. It depends the hard thing with superheroes is that it depends on what crisis they're currently tackling, right? Because you wouldn't send Dr. Fate, to use a DC character, to fight a technological bad guy, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't send Cyborg to fight magic necessarily. You might if like this magic is weak to technology or whatever, right? But yeah, I don't know. That's hard.
Yeah, and you kind of have to mess around with it a little bit because they don't fit neatly for that.
True.
And sometimes they have but in those examples, a 7th character doesn't hurt the story.
No.
It's just they don't fit nicely into this box, unfortunately, for it. Like, Avatar has their 6th ranger, I think would be Suki, of all people. And Suki's barely in the show.
Over Zuko?
No, I'm sorry. Zuko would be the 6th ranger.
But they have like 7 people.
Hang on. Aang, Katara. Katara's the heart.
Sokka.
Right.
Sokka. If we throw him in the Lancer.
Toph.
Toph, which is the strongest.
Zuko.
and Suki.
Suki.
That's Team Avatar.
But what about Iroh?
Iroh would be the smart guy.
I mean,
it would be the wizard.
Yeah.
The brains. He's chock full of wisdom on that one.
He is.
And he's an important character. I love Iroh.
Too.
So yeah, that's sort of what I've got with this one. This is a kind of a fun thing to go through. If you have a show, a series, a thing that you want to do, go ahead and experiment with it. Try to put in, see what they have with it. I'm going through Baldur's Gate 3. I can tell you, like, trying to figure out who's the smart guy on that team, kind of rough, but I guess I'll throw Gale into that because he's a wizard.
It's Gale. Wisdom is his dump stat, but intelligence is his forte.
Intelligence is his forte, and he won't stop telling you about it.
It's very true.
But who is the strong guy?
Karlach.
Like, Karlach should be the strong guy. Minthara has whipped. I've gotten her to throw down with people.
That's true. Minthara is very strong.
Mm-hmm. And then, do we have an outsider? They're all an outsider. Or if you're playing the game right, you only have a handful of characters because you didn't recruit them.
I mean, I could see Astarion being the outsider on the fact that he's a vampire, right? That's rough. That happens.
But so like you can't really have a Lancer because you're the leader, and as the tab, you don't have
the
agency. You're the one with full agency on that, and nobody can counteract your agency because you're whatever you want to do.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's not really a Lancer, is there?
There's not really a Lancer type to do that because in order to have a good Lancer, you need to know who the leader is, and that's you as the player.
Yeah. We're all the Lancer, and none of us
We're all
are.
the Lancers on that. But yeah, so like have fun. put this into one of your favorite shows or such and see which ones that you like. I guess I'll end this episode unless anybody has any last things that they want to tell me.
Oh, more of a question, I suppose.
Sure.
So Ronin Warriors is 5 people.
Right.
And this is probably a little bit different. So I will preface this knowing that I think I know. But I would say what is it called? The main character, clad in red. Is it Ryu? I think Rio.
It's Rio.
Is clad in
Is
red.
the main guy.
So he's Rio of the Twin Flame, right? I think, or Arm of the Wildfire. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen Warriors. There's a new Ronin Warriors project coming out, by the way. I am very so much excited about it.
I'm excited for that one.
But fire-based power, right? Eventually, he gets the white armor, which is a power-up. But is that their 6th Ranger?
Getting a power up doesn't mean it's a 6th Ranger, and you actually have a 6th person. You have to have a new person.
But he's like so different. Like his power set is so different.
Like, has he become his own?
Like he's not his own grandfather, but like he's and like his personality doesn't change. I don't think, but like his power set does.
It's hard to say because it's mostly personality based for a lot of these. Having your powers change doesn't really change your position on it. Like, he's still the leader on that. So, like, if you want an interesting but also dumb example for that one, the leader in Futurama is Fry, but that's because Fry's one of the main characters on it. Is Fry the leader of their team? Heck no. And nobody puts him in charge from anything if they can avoid it.
Put Bender in charge before they put Fry in charge. Like, there's episodes about that.
Geez.
Yeah. But, like, Leela being is both the love interest and the Lancer for that.
But she's a Lancer. Who's the strong person then?
Bender.
He can bend steel girders.
He's physically strong, sure, but Leela's the one doing the fighting almost all the time.
Oh yeah, but that's because Leela slides into being the Lancer, so Bender has to be the strong guy.
I don't know that Leela's the Lancer.
Okay, who do you think?
I don't think she's the opposite of Fry.
So who would you fit into the Lancer of that group? It's not Hermes, Conrad. You definitely can't put the Professor in there.
Amy? Nah, Amy's not really the kind that steps up when Fry's indisposed.
Is it? I might say Bender. They're not diametrically opposed in terms of personality, as their personalities do kind of feed into each other. But I do think when Fry is I don't know.
I guess to my last point of this is sometimes you don't need to fill in all those rakes. Like we talked about Cowboy Bebop. No one's really the smart guy in that group.
Excuse you.
I know.
Hey, hold the phone here, Desperado.
All right.
How dare you do this to Edward Wong Hapapalu Tradaluski IV, sir? Put some respect on their name. They hacked satellites that were unhackable.
Sorry, I meant to say heart.
Ein. Also, Ein's smarter than Ed is technically. So maybe Ed is the
Ein's
heart.
the dog, right?
Yeah, Ein's a data dog.
Is he a robot?
No, just a real smart doggo.
When we show you the show, you'll see what that is.
There's a really cool
Ein's
scene
adorable.
where like Ein does something that figures something out that even Ed can't crack. It's great. So maybe Ein is the brains, but sparingly.
Like the secret brains.
But Ed is the heart?
Saying Ed's the heart is weird.
I mean, it is, but it's not Faye.
It's definitely not
And
Faye.
it's not Jet.
No.
And it's not Spike. And it's definitely not Julia.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Hold on. I need to look up their real names because I don't remember it.
Oh, jeez.
Punch and Judy.
Punch and Judy.
Punch and Judy are the heart. Big Shot is the heart of Cowboy Bebop.
Big Shot's kind of the narrator of Cowboy Bebop.
Kinda, but it's also the heart.
Took a while, but I found someone to...
And I stand by that.
This is the one that you're going to stand by.
Yeah.
All right, bold strategy. We'll see how that works.
I gotta have one. Come on.
You gotta have one. So before I close up the episode, what is one of your favorite shows that you shows or series or books or whatever that has this kind of like 5 to 7 man band that you really like? Knowing me,
Final Fantasy VIII.
Ooh.
I could probably
Yeah,
figure
that fits
it out.
everything on that one.
Quistis is the brain.
Renoa's the heart, unfortunately.
Is Quistis the brain?
Yes. Squall is the leader, obviously.
Valuable answer?
I guess
I know,
so.
right? I don't like it,
That's,
but I think it fits.
That's a weird one. That's a weird one to think about.
Ooh. Selphie's the Sixth Ranger?
I don't know, because Selphie is...
Irvine?
Irvine's the one who's not there. Irvine's
Well,
got to be your
Irvine-
outsider.
So Irvine is I think Irvine's the outsider also insofar as the fact that he was never the one using the GFs and therefore he retained all his... It's a plot hole and I don't love this. I don't like that it is a plot point, but I'm going to stand by it since it is canon. He does not have the amnesia that everyone else does, and therefore he would be the outsider because he is other from everyone else, at least for most of it.
He's also a liar, so he claims
Listen,
he claims he never misses, but he only misses for me.
Yeah.
Exclusively, dude. First shot, literally first shot. He's like, "Oh, I'm Airman. I never miss. I'm a badass sharpshooter." And I was like, "Yes, let's go. Get in the party." And he's like, "Cacao, miss." And I was like,
I thought you were about
"Banish
to
you
make
to
some.
the no, not a plot point, but I banished him to the woods and did not use him from then on.
Oh shit.
He's
Fair
dead
enough.
to me."
Oh, man.
Yeah, definitely the outsider.
Yeah.
Sixth Ranger, I don't like Selphie as it, but she's either that or the heart, but she's not the heart because
Who would be the heart then?
Renoa.
Oh, Renoa. I'm
Renoa.
the one who even said it.
Strong guy, Cypher, but he's not.
Cypher's not really.
He's strong, but he's not really a part of the party.
Okay, I'm gonna say it. I think Zell or Quistis could be the strong guy
Yeah,
because especially when it comes to physical strong, they're two heavy hitters outside of Squall, and Squall can't be the strong guy and the leader.
hear me out, Laguna. Laguna's the strong guy.
I love Laguna.
Why not? Or Sid, President Sid.
Oh Jesus, that guy.
He flies Balam Garden.
I do. I fly it. He doesn't do
He
shit.
lets you fly it.
Yeah, he just owns it.
I guess for me, if I'm going to go with this one, mostly because it's an easy shot, but it's also one of my favorites, is probably TMNT. Leo's the leader.
We already
Mikey's
talked
the
about
heart.
that one.
I know.
That'd be new, Liz.
Let him put.
This is my. Let me cook with
This is
real
being a
quick.
real judgy Jason over here.
Judgy
Donnie
Judy.
is the smart guy. Raph's the strong guy.
Mikey's the heart. Although,
Although.
I could see Mikey being, I guess, the outsider because he's different than his brother.
April's the outsider.
Well, hear me out.
Yeah.
Splinter the
Okay.
heart
Okay.
Depending on which canon, yeah, Splinter could be the heart.
because he connects them all together, which is kind of
Yep.
cool.
And Casey's the sixth guy.
Yeah.
Casey is the sixth guy.
That's
He
true.
just shows up, and Casey.
Like, I'm here to help, guys. Just Kula.
What about Usagi Yojimbo?
Looks like you, Jim.
They're the seventh and the eighth,
True.
and just anyone else who decides. Like, at some point, we gotta add Leatherhead into that.
Leatherface?
No, different guy. Leatherhead.
Leatherhead.
No, I know.
It was like, man, I had to second guess myself on that for a sec.
All right. What about you, El Penguin and Dan?
I would say Orin High School Host Club.
Over One Piece, really?
Over One Piece.
Dang,
Okay.
I was
okay. I
waiting.
want to hear this.
I was waiting for the One Piece drop, but I do want to hear this.
I'm like, shh. I need to know.
Hold on. Like, I know One Piece would have been a nice one particular one, but
You're
it's
literally
five
wearing
to,
the shirt.
It's 5 to 7 man band, and I'm going to stick to that thing. The Horror High School Host Club has 7 people exactly.
I love
All right,
High
let's see.
School
Let's
Host Club.
play with that.
Let him cook.
Okay, so going through.
I'm really curious to see where he puts the twins.
Well, okay, the twins do have their independent personalities.
Not
but
for most of the show. Sorry, Penguin, please continue.
Yeah, sorry.
Anyways, so of course, Tamaki the leader,
Yeah.
the Lancer. Oh fuck! It's been so long.
Kyoya.
Yeah.
Kyoya.
Kyoya would be the
Mr.
would be the Lancer.
Glasses.
Kyoya would be the Lancer. I would
Love
say he would
Kyoya.
also double as the brains, mostly with
I can
his
see it.
ability to blackmail anyone he comes across and for that profit. The heart is Haruhi.
Mhm.
True.
The muscle is Honey.
Honey, really?
Aww.
Really?
Not Mori?
I would have put Mori there personally.
Yeah.
More is really great, but everyone, even all the hosts admit, like, no, Honey's the best fighter.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because like Mori's really great for just like the side muscle, and he would probably work really well as a 6-man since he's a strong silent type.
He also
but it's
goes,
like, no.
oh.
But if we want someone to kick the shit out of just like an entire just private police force, you send Honey.
Well, so that was so. I absolutely can see the logic there. That makes perfect sense to me. I think if it were me, I would put Honey in the 6th Ranger, and Mori as the strong guy because, you know, Tommy Oliver beats all the Power Rangers. Honey could take all of the host club for sure. But fair, valid.
Fair.
What about the twins?
The twins would definitely be more of the outsider ones because like they are kind of like their own entity on Think, and even like whether they're hosting together or their own separate thing, it's just like no, they got their own world and even just like their own subplots going on with stuff.
Okay. All right. I think that's at it. Dane?
I mean, God, I have to pick just one. I mean, we covered.
Just wait until you get the chance to put it all in the comments. You can just fill it all out
We
there.
covered Mighty Morphin. I feel like we did a pretty good job there. We covered Scooby Doo, which is another thing that I love. We covered Bebop, which is another thing I love. So I guess my hands are tied, and I've got to go with Final Fantasy VII, I suppose.
Oh no.
Oh,
What?
You know?
Tell us about it.
Unless Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh.
I mean, that would be kind of interesting. I'm gonna not do that one though. I think there's some. I mean, Tristan and Joey are like the same character for most of the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh. So.
Yeah, that's true.
They're a little different, but they fill the same role. More
you could take Tristan out of Yu-Gi-Oh and it wouldn't make much of a difference.
I know. What about his Cyber Commander?
At least Joey actually matters to some stuff. For God's sakes, by the time they went to like their 3rd round of bad guys, he was actually one of the prophecies. Like, oh my God, Joey's important now.
True.
He's not just a side help. He's actually important.
Oh, baby dragon, kunai with chain. That's my Joey Wheeler. Anyway,
Time Wizard, risk it all.
Right.
Risk it all.
Not how this game works at all, Joey. But okay. Well, your creatures have been flung 1,000 years in the future, so now they're fossils. I think Yugi's
Except for that one time, it made a sage that was too powerful.
Yeah, the Dark Sage. Yugi's a
like boy, that backfired.
That guy cheats. That guy cheats every game he plays. Cloud's the leader because he's the protagonist, which is it feels weird because he's not a very strong leader. I wouldn't say.
Yeah.
You know, I could actually absolutely.
Neither is Fry, but we put him as
I mean,
the leader.
that's true. I could absolutely see an argument that Barrett is the leader, though, as well. So I think that's kind of interesting.
Yes, I can see the Barrett.
I love Barrett. He's my favorite character.
Right, and he's so great.
Barrett and Root are my 2 faves.
They're great.
And Jesse, obviously.
I don't know much about Final Fantasy VII, but we stand Barrett on this channel.
True.
He's so
You'd
cool.
like Root as well. He's a musclehead a little bit.
God, I love him.
A cool musclehead.
Also, I've already had people suggest for me to cosplay Barrett, and I'm actually considering it.
Hell yeah, dude.
Nice.
I could see it. I love Barrett.
So if Barrett's leader or if Cloud's leader, then the other one is the Lancer. They're a direct foil to each other.
Ooh, that's very good.
Heart, Aerith. It just makes sense.
Ooh, okay, tell me why it's not Tifa.
Because Tifa's the strong guy.
Okay, that's fair.
So it's kind of like Yuna from 10. Aerith brings the party together. Because, like, if you think about, like, with 10, Yuna, I do believe, is the heart. Because Aron is her guardian, and Tidus is her guardian, and Kamari is her guardian, and Lulu is her guardian, and Waka's her guardian, and Riku's her guardian. Like, they're all guarding her, right? And so I guess you could make the argument that both Yuna and Aerith are also the leader. So that's kind of interesting. But I think I'd put them both at the heart just because the story kind of revolves around them as the character. Tifa,
I can see it.
definitely strong guy.
Also, to help you out on that, for Eric's heart and Tifa's strength, the strong must protect the sweet.
True.
Aww.
True.
Mm-hmm.
True. Brains is an interesting one. This is kind of interesting, but I think I might put Kate Sith here.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
surprised. Sid was what I was thinking.
Ooh, Sid I could see. The problem with 7 is that there's 9 characters, right?
Well, and also, I think I agree with it being Kate Sith because it's Reeve.
Yeah.
And Reeve is the head of urban development and absolute genius.
Yeah. And he's doing this like covert mission behind enemy lines kind of deal. Where like he's playing Shinra from the inside and being like, oh yeah, I'm evil too, guys. I wear spike on my armor as well. And then the whole time he's like, hey, I'm a silly little cat man. Let's go on an adventure and maybe kill Shinra. That'd be cool, right?
Meanwhile, Shinra's like, who the fuck's that guy?
Yeah, you're right.
He's like, who indeed?
Reeve in,
And also,
Reeve in his
it doesn't
cave
hurt.
with his joystick, like controlling him.
It also doesn't hurt that Reeve looks like Keanu Reeves. So
You know, I could see that.
yeah.
So I'd probably put him at the brains, though. Like Bugenhagen isn't a main character, but would fit there. There's a lot of really smart characters. Lucrezia, I think, would fit as well. Sixth Ranger, Vincent Valentine.
Oh,
That's fair.
You
What a
know,
babe.
like I want to
Yeah.
put Yuffie there, but you know, I could see Yuffie being a Sixth Ranger and Vincent being the outsider because he's a fuck-mothering vampire.
Mhm.
But also, Red 13 is a dog man. So either one of those, I think, would work in that slot. It's not perfect, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, there's 9 of them, but
None of them, yeah. But you can interchange a lot of them for.
yeah, like Sid, I could see being the strong guy. He's a powerhouse, and like
Yeah.
True.
he has the grit of like lived experience that a lot of the other protagonists don't.
And that dude's been through a lot.
And he says curse words, and I think that's cool.
Okay, so I
tushy.
Riddle, I just need to know. So I haven't finished Rebirth yet. I've gotten really far,
I
but I
haven't
haven't
either.
finished Rebirth yet. Oh, so you also don't know if they allow Sid to say fuck once?
I have no idea.
'Cause if anyone deserves it, it's that guy.
I agree.
He deserves to say fuck at least once.
I would love to see like a fourth wall breaking, like takes a drag of his cigar and just stares straight into the camera and just goes, "Fuck."
Fuck.
No explanation.
It would be the best.
All right, and I think, like I said, play with this. Just for funsies, watch a show, read a book, play a game. See if you can put all 7 of these guys in this spot. It's a fun little game that you can do.
Yeah.
And you can play it at home.
Who's the strong guy in Yu Yu Hakusho?
I've never seen
Uh,
Yu Yu Hakusho, so I have no
uh,
thoughts.
Kubara.
I know.
Kuwabara? He's not the
Kuwabara.
Lancer?
No.
No,
The Lancer.
He is... maybe.
Oh man, we really.
Freaking Hiei.
Or you put Hiei as the strong guy, and then you put Kuwabara as the Lancer, and then you make
Let's be honest, Kuwabara's the heart.
Kuwabara. Actually, yeah, he kind of can get me the heart
He's
of that.
kind of the heart. I fucking love
I mean-
Kuwabara. He's
As the only human of Yu Yu Hakusho.
only full-blooded human.
Not a half breed like a certain protagonist.
Liz, you don't need to watch the last arc of Yu Yu Hakusho if you ever get to it. Just don't watch it. It's not worth it.
Don't watch Yu Yu Hakusho.
No, watch Yu Yu Hakusho.
No,
just
definitely
don't watch
watch
the,
Yu Yu Hakusho.
the ending
Watch it.
season.
It's like, no, dang, don't be a shit ass. Zombiehead. Watch it in its entirety, okay? The last arc is not that bad.
It's terrible.
It was not that bad.
Kuwabara doesn't go on the journey because he goes to college. He goes upstairs.
You know what?
Wait,
goes
He has to
upstairs.
spend most of the time being a ding dong. He deserves to be smart for once, okay?
Okay, but what's more important? Going to your first year of college or taking a gap year and saving the world?
Is Kuwabara the red-haired guy with the big hair?
Yeah.
He's my favorite. And like Genkai's
He is
like,
fun.
I'm old, good luck. Which, fair,
Yeah.
Genkai's been through a lot. All I'm saying is, just because your great grandfather was full-blooded demon does not in any world make you half demon.
Yeah, the math don't
Yeah,
check.
that still doesn't make any sense on that.
Yeah, it doesn't check out. And
Mhm.
yet, Chapter Black exists.
Yeah.
They were just trying to pitch it just like, nah, these are just some strong ass genetics.
I think what it was is that like the publishing company was like, hey, you need to make another season. And he's like, I don't want to. And they're like, no, you're going to. And he was like, fine, but I'm going to make it bad.
I do still love who ended up winning that whole thing. Just like, you know what? You're my favorite Satan.
Yeah.
I like you. He's so sweet.
Anyway, thank you, Leo, for indulging our discrepancy.
Yep, thank you. Thanks, Leo.
No problem. You know what is my favorite? Weirdly enough, a fun Seventh Ranger.
What?
Butters.
Butters? That's true.
Butters.
That's true.
Yeah. With all that being said, our next episode is going to be on July 18th. And with that being said, thanks for listening. And this is Gaming Theater Podcast. Logging out. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
So long. Farewell.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Saying
Goodbye.
adieu.
Gaming Theater Podcast is hosted, created, produced, and edited by Leo Garcia, the Geek Scorpio. Our music is A Drinking Game. Stock media provided by Stormwave Audio /Pond5. Our cover art is by Adam Parker. You can find him at ParkerGFX on Twitter. If you want to send us some money to help with these episodes, you can do so at patreon.com/gamingtheaterpresents. Want to send support that doesn't hit your wallet? Please leave a review with wherever you hear your podcasts and share our podcast with your friends. It really helps out. Thank you for listening.